normally this would be useful, but I primarily lead everything with a President unit, which does the whole healing thing far better. This whole supply wagon healing thing is fairly slow. And, unless you're going to win anyway, odds are it's not going to help you much. Siege Factory and Factory units created 15% faster and 25% faster. They also move faster. So again, they're good for sieging, mainly. Free lumber mill and upgrades. Woodcutters get an extra worker per camp, and timber commerce limit plus 10%. So that's mainly to complement the factories, forts, and siege units. So Germans are a pretty defensive kind of country. And by the way, I'm not really sure why the music decided that it does not want to work in this menu. So, Germans, granary, lumber mill, and smelter upgrades are 50% cheaper and available sooner. I believe it's 1 age sooner. Or 1 research sooner. This is just contradicting everything I say. Cities get an extra 5 food, timber, and metal. Building completion bonuses are 50% higher. Submarines and fire ships are 33% faster and 25% cheaper. Air units created 33% faster. Each new airbase comes with 2 free fighters. That is something that's very useful if you're being invaded. You can get a whole bunch of timber together, start putting together a whole lot of air bases, and you have a sudden air force that you didn't have to pay for. And good if you're running low on resources and can only keep a few wood camps going. Greeks have the power of philosophy. Library research, 10% cheaper, accept knowledge, 100% faster, can build universities and collect knowledge from the very beginning. Libraries and universities are 66% cheaper. So they are, I guess, kind of like a middle of the game kind of rush. Civ, really. Their main bonus comes from collecting knowledge so they can get upgrades earlier. Problem is they don't get any economic bonuses, so those upgrades are going to be harder to actually pay for, so they can't have any kind of military early on. And by the very end, they have nothing really keeping them in the game. Some people like them, personally I don't. Inca, here's another one from the expansion pack. Mines make wealth as well as metal. Wealth commerce limit is 33% higher, and whenever one of your units is killed, you receive a 25% refund. Well, that's a nice way to put it. So a couple of little perks. I think they got a unique anti-tank unit. Indians. These are the, pardon the term, but 7-Eleven Indians. I have Indian friends. I mean no harm by it. I just really don't know why they haven't upgraded that by now. Upgraded? Why they haven't fixed that term by now. It's been 100 years since that misconception. Or 200, what am I saying? It's about time. So, buildings do not rise in cost except for wonders, towers, lookouts, and forts, which rise at half the normal rate, and cities, which rise normally, plus 4 city economic radius, plus 15% caravan income. War Elephant upgrades are free, and War Elephant units are 15% cheaper. These guys are fairly good. Very good at keeping the cost down on the buildings. So that means late game, they are pretty good, especially... Well, mid game they get a bonus from their War Elephants. Late game they get a pretty good bonus, because everyone else has a crap ton of buildings around, and they can still build them for cheap. So if somebody else has to replace any kind of military buildings, these guys get a bonus at that. Iroquois. 1 free scout unit with each barracks built. Scouts get free upgrades and can move through forests. First Senate built is free and builds instantly. Woodcutters also gather plus 2 food each. Military units, including scouts in friendly territory, are hidden when not attacking. All units heal when not moving or attacking in friendly territory. Barracks units have plus 10% hit points. These guys are all infantry, all scouts, and rely entirely on surprise attacks. Once again, this is one I've seen some people use, but it's far too much micromanaging for my usual strategies. and I guess requires a lot of foreplanning in order to get it right. So I think it's just too much effort. But I've seen people utterly own me with them, and they're especially good defensive-wise. Because if somebody's doing a tank rush and you have a bunch of anti-tank units set to not attack, the tanks drive right by them, and then you have them attack from the back. Like I said, it requires a lot of micromanaging to get these guys right. Japanese are your fighting to the death guys, pretty much. Barracks units created 7% cheaper and 10% faster for each age plus military research. Well, these are your, I guess, high risk, high reward kind of guys. Barracks units do 5% extra damage versus buildings for each age plus military research. Ships are 10% cheaper and aircraft carriers are created 33% faster. Farms are 50% cheaper. Farms and fishermen produce plus 25% of their respective resources. Now, what I mean by these are the kind of fight to the death guys is because they get a big bonus from using infantry as a siege unit. They also get samurai, which is a unique infantry unit to them, and it gives them a really big bonus early on. But they don't have much else going military-wise, so oftentimes it's kind of a risk to fight with them. At least from what I've seen, that tends to be strategies people use. Okay, Koreans. Start with a temple and receive religion upgrades for free. Those mainly give money and food, I believe. Or no, money and influence. Anyway, start with one extra citizen. Receive 3 when you build your next city, and 5 for all future cities. Repairs 50% faster. Your citizens can build and repair buildings that are under fire without penalty. That seems like a good thing in theory, although most of your civilians aren't really too worried about the fact that the place isn't getting repaired so much as the fact that they are getting killed by the things flying at said building. So this can work if positioned right with a fort or city. Online, it's mostly just going to result in them getting killed because somebody will just set some infantry to shoot them down. Receive militia, minutemen, and partisan upgrades for free. Towers are 33% cheaper. Again, useful to those who would like to use them. Never found myself using militia, except for the very end. Like, if you're really on your final charge and you just want to get the most out of your units, and you want to just trade in all of your civilians for military, there you go. You still get only 1 militiaman per 1 civilian, so you won't suddenly have a military unit. Most military units consist of 3 soldiers. So, Lakota are the next ones. These are your complete nomads, and everyone I've seen online playing as the Lakota, with the exception of one guy, have beaten me. Because you have no idea where they are. That's the thing. They have no borders, they have no anything. So, receive +4 food for every citizen, scout, and cavalry unit, except when garrisoned, inside of building farms and granaries. Farms and granaries in captured enemy cities are instantly destroyed. Borders are invisible to enemies, can construct buildings anywhere in territory not belonging to an enemy nation. Ranged cavalry upgrades are free, so these guys are meant for harassing and taking out cities. So if they take over a city, well, that city will first of all already be useless as far as producing food because everything's destroyed instantly. And again, second of all, you don't know where their cities are. They are everywhere. So that's kind of their thing. Not a whole lot going as far as unique units, but yeah, people can take a whole lot of advantage of that whole invisibility factor. So the Maya. These are known online as, well, I guess almost robotically defensive. So cities, towers, forts, etc. Fire extra arrows and/or bolts, including cities without garrisons. This means if you garrison them up, they'll fire extra. If you don't have anyone in them, they will fire for free. Normally you have to have someone in there. Buildings are 25% tougher, and all non-wonders are 20% faster to build. Buildings cost 25% less timber, except wonders and military buildings. So now, these guys basically can build an impenetrable wall that you can't do a whole lot about. At least not without a lot of siege units. Now, I've tested this out a couple of times. Pretty much if they don't get rushed right away, they can just spam the absolute crap out of towers and forts, and all of those will shoot at pretty much twice the rate of regular towers and forts, as well as their cities and other buildings. So every city will autonomously defend itself. Honestly, they're one of my favorites, right there under the Americans, just because it is hilarious to see somebody get really, really pissed off because they can't bother to mass produce some siege units. I mean, they're not very good military-wise, but their cities take care of themselves. It's awesome. They're near impervious to a rush, and I hate being rushed. Anyhow, Mongols receive free ranged cavalry whenever you build a stable or auto plant. 1 at start, 2 with 2 military research, 3 with 3 military research. Mounted units created 10% cheaper and 20% faster, receive 1 food for each 1% of world landmass controlled. Times half the number of nations. Attrition to your units reduced by 50%, receive forage, supply, and logistics research for free. Yeah, they are also one that is very good at harassing. They are pretty much the king of harassing early on. The Mongol horde units are the best early range cavalry as far as I'm aware. And yeah, they're meant for being mass produced. And you'll see, the harassment in this game is more, I guess you'd call it even realistic, you know. Units don't have to stop and fire, they try to move realistically. So, if you imagine the Mongolian stereotype of a whole horde of horsemen with bows charging through a village and shooting down all the villagers, that is what they do in this game. That's how the mounted units work. So they will actually fire while running by. Same thing with armored cars later on, but I'll be getting into that later. I need some water. This is ridiculous many civs in this. So next are the Nubians. These are also up there in my favorites. Merchants in your territory collect 50% base resources. You see rare resources in your territory automatically. So this means you can get your merchants out to there right away. +1 caravan limit. You start with a market and can always trade resources with a +20/-20 price bonus. Merchants, caravans, and markets 10% cheaper and 50% more hit points. Now that resource bonus is very good, especially when oil first comes out and you have to... Well, let me put it this way. Whoever is the first